Start recording. So welcome to today's session. Today we're talking about mental health. So what is mental health and how can it impact us? So again, I'm Karen Campbell from up north. I am a counseling therapist, so I have lots of experience in this field. So mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood to adolescence to adulthood and to even our twilight years. Although the terms are often used interchangeably, poor mental health and mental illness are not actually the same thing. A person can experience poor mental health and not be diagnosed with a mental illness. Likewise, a person diagnosed with a mental illness can experience periods of physical, mental, and social well-being. So today we're going to define what some of those things mean. All right, why is mental health important for overall health? Mental and physical health are equally important components of overall health. Mental illness, especially depression, increases the risk for many types of physical health problems, particularly long-lasting conditions, such as stroke and heart disease. Similarly, the presence of chronic conditions can increase the risk of mental illness. A number of years ago, when the DSM-5, which is the diagnostic criteria for mental illness, came out, as I was reading it, I expressed to my supervisor, according to this new manual, I have about 5 mental health illness diseases because I have physical health concerns that can present often as mental health concerns. So it's important to know, can your mental health change over time? Yes. It's important to remember that a person's mental health can change over time depending on many different factors. When the demands placed on a person exceed their resources and coping abilities, their mental health could be impacted. For example, if someone is working in long hours, caring for an ill relative, or experiencing economic hardship, they may experience poor mental health. Currently, we're going through a worldwide pandemic. Many of us have exceeded our personal resources, our coping abilities, and therefore our mental health may be impacted. So just to differentiate between mental health and mental illness, just to give you a snapshot, mental illness is one of the most common health conditions in Canada. More than 50% of Canadians will be diagnosed with a mental illness or disorder at some point in their life. 1 in 4 will experience a mental illness in any given year. 1 in 5 children, either currently or at some point during their life, have had a seriously debilitating mental illness. And 1 in 25 lives with serious mental illness, such as schizophrenia, bipolar, and major depression. So mental illness does affect many Canadians. So what causes mental illness? Just briefly touch on some of this. There's no single cause. I'm fun today. A number of factors can contribute to risk for mental illness, such as early adverse life experience, such as trauma or history of abuse, for example, child abuse, sexual abuse, even witnessing domestic violence. Experiences related to other ongoing chronic medical conditions, such as cancer or diabetes. Biological factors, such as genetics. Use of alcohol or recreational drugs can actually impact the neurons and synapses in our brains. Having few friends, that's being isolated, having feelings of loneliness or isolation, can all contribute to risks for mental illness, but aren't necessarily the cause. So good mental health allows you to feel, think, and act in ways that help you enjoy life and cope with its challenges. This can be positively or negatively influenced by several things. Your family situation, the death of a loved one, grief plays a big part in mental health, financial and employment status, friends, family, co-workers, schoolmates, work or school environment, physical health, such as problems caused by, again, long-term illness, problematic substance use, and even the type of community you live in can all influence good mental health. How can you take care of your mental health becomes the question. Taking care of your mental health in the same way you would take care of your physical health. It actually takes practice, patience, and support. You can maintain or improve mental health by knowing and accepting that life can be challenging. Perspective is key. Knowing and accepting your strengths and weaknesses. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. Set realistic goals for yourself. Again, be reasonable and realistic. Accept yourself and accept others for who they are. Learn to recognize and understand that you and others have both positive and negative feelings. We're all different. Creating a sense of meaning in your life by learning and trying new activities, like starting a hobby. I know many of us during this pandemic have taken up baking. Create healthy, trusting relationships with people who accept and support you. Building a supportive community is an important way to actually improve your mental health overall, regardless if you have mental illness or not. Making meaningful connections with your family, friends, peers, colleagues, and other members of your community can help you feel like you belong, which is important for mental health, safe and secure, and lets you be free to express your thoughts and feelings on issues that are actually important to you. You can help create a healthy and safe environment where you learn and work and play by knowing and accepting that everyone has difficulties in their lives. Acceptance, not only for yourself, but for others, is key. Taking part in local events and getting to know your neighbors. How many of us in this current digital world actually know who our neighbors are? Maybe we don't want to know who our neighbors are, but it's important to find connection. Finding ways to get involved and give back to your community can also help, especially if you have social justice as one of your values. Supporting and including people of different ages and backgrounds in your community. What makes a good community? Variety. How does being mentally healthy benefit you? Type it in the chat bar if you're here with us today and tell me what you think. How does it actually benefit you in your life? Being mentally healthy can increase coping skills, gives us tools for how we handle difficult experiences and stresses, improves our self-esteem and self-confidence, our worth and our self-abilities, improves our resilience, overcoming challenges, your ability to be successful, to successfully move on after a negative event and regain control of your life. Increasing coping skills, self-esteem, and resiliency encourages people to, again, create healthy relationships, positive interact with your community, and talk openly about our mental health, including wants and needs. When are we struggling and how can we help you? Again, feeling confident and competent in these areas can improve emotional strength. In turn, this can help improve and maintain your level of mental health. This won't fix everything in your life, and this is not a magic wand, but it can help. Mental illness does not discriminate, let's be honest. It can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, geography, income, social status, race, religion, sexual orientation, background, and any other aspect of cultural identity. While mental illness can occur at any age, 3/4 of all mental illness actually begins by age 24. Mental illnesses take on actually many forms. Some are mild and only interfere in a limited way with daily life, such as certain phobias. Other mental health conditions can be so severe that a person may need care, actually in hospital. Good mental health means being generally able to think, feel, and react in ways that you need and want to live your life. But if you go through a period of poor mental health, you might find the ways you're frequently thinking, feeling, or reacting becoming more difficult or even impossible to actually cope with. This can feel just as bad as physical illness, and at times even worse. In the psychology world, we have something we call somatic complaints, as in our body is feeling our emotional distress and can affect us. Experiencing a mental health problem is often upsetting, confusing, and frightening, particularly at first. If you become unwell, you may feel that it's a sign of weakness, which I've heard from many clients, or that you're actually losing your mind, which I like to put in quotes, because you aren't. But it can be upsetting. These fears are often reinforced by the negative and often unrealistic ways that people experience mental health problems on TV, in films, and the media. This actually may stop you from actually talking about your problem or seeking help. And this in turn actually increases your distress and sense of isolation. However, in reality, mental health problems are a common part of the human experience. Congratulations, we are all human today. Most people know someone who has experienced a mental health problem. They can happen to all kinds of people from all walks of life, and it's likely that when you find a combination of self-care, treatment, and support that works for you, you will generally get better. Mental health, again, includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make healthy choices. It's important at every stage of life, childhood, adolescence, through adulthood, to take a look at our mental health. Well, thank you for joining us today. Please feel free to reach out to the counseling department if you feel like you're needing support for your mental health while we all navigate this pandemic right now. Enter to win an NLC Wellness swag bag. Deadline to enter this week is April 29th. Please email counseling@northernlatescollege.ca, and the subject line today is hope. Thank you again for joining me.